Good stuff. Hold on, let me fix my head.
Alright, we got one viewer this morning. One viewer so far.
Yeah, we're attempting a Facebook Live because it's so not early in the morning this time.
Yeah.
People might be awake.
Oh, who was the late one today?
Well,
What? See, he's always got an excuse.
he wanted an energy drink, so
I
that's
want
what
an energy drink.
I had to go get one.
Alright, well today's not going to be the funnest of topics, and not because it's going to be boring, because it's more of a negative side to
The dark side.
the dark side. Darth Sidious. But, yeah, it is more the dark aspects of life and the path to success and going through your changes that you're going to be going through in life, especially if you are on a path to self-improvement. And words that I'm not allowed to say is, what was that? What have you or what not? No more what nots. Say it way too much. So basically why we're gonna do this now is we had not even a rough week. It was a rough 2 weeks with the business.
It was more of a, you do so much work, but when you're not getting what you're expecting or when something goes awry, it's just a mental blow. And that's the thing. You got to be so on all the time.
All the time.
If you're not on it all the time, one little thing can just slip, and you're gone. Start over.
Yep. And that's like, and we're at the point now, and we'll go into our past and whatnot, and past like mental health and such. But we're at the point now to, like he was saying, if you're not on all the time, you're going to get hit. And you're not going to see it coming, and it's going to derail
like letting your guard down.
Everything. So I saw a really interesting. I sent you that video with what was his name? Forsey.
Seth Forsey.
Seth Forsey. He's a bodybuilder, motivational speaker, whatnot. And he made an analogy of it. This is like being in the jungle all the time. You're going to have snakes, mosquitoes, people pecking at you, hating on you,
stealing trucks from
you. If you're watching, I don't know if I got them on the Facebook anymore. But we've been through a lot basically, and you have to be prepared at all times. And we weren't always prepared at all times.
And what I do with my life and how I structure things, because I do like the finances, I take that portion onto myself for our business, and I can only do so much. Like, I do everything I can to prevent the blows from coming, and then there's just some things you can't prevent.
And you have to literally look at the full spectrum of what's coming. Whereas
we don't look a week or two ahead. We're looking months, weeks, months, years ahead of, do we do this one job that could lead us to more work that'll survive us through the winter, and then, what do we do for the summer, and then, what happens in a year from now? Like, these are the things that are constantly going in my head, just planning out the next move weeks and months ahead of time, trying to map it all out.
See, you also need to know your strengths and your weaknesses. My strengths have recently become managing money, but that is his forte. He is the master of money. He's the
Mr. Krabs.
Mr. Krabs, if you will. Okay, he will pinch all the pennies. And so if our partnership, obviously it's not good for me to manage the money. I would not do well at it. I would now, because of everything that I've learned and whatnot. No more. No more whatnots. No more. I refuse to say that word.
I'll just start smacking you anytime I hear it.
But it's it's something that you have to be on with all the time. And especially like now we're at the point of putting so much effort in, and I mean
all of
beyond effort.
And when you're getting that, like last week, we put in everything we had, everything we got,
Everything.
and we got no return from it.
Like
Essentially,
zero.
It was just a defeating mentally kind of a week.
You know,
or 2
we
weeks.
had to go back and, well, we will have to go back and redo a job. That is no bueno. That is like, we do quality work. Like, we literally pride ourselves, and we're in business because we do quality work. And, you know, multiple, when you're getting beat up 24/7, you're only going to be human, and you're going to slip up sometimes. And that's unfortunate. But it's when we're at the point now to where these things out of our control are the ones that are kicking us in the knees or whatnot. We're I would say 90% as business owners on point. There are definitely things that we can learn, definite mindsets that we can be in to better
This
prepare.
is also our 3rd year. I mean, we've learned and developed and grown every single year up until this point, to where it's almost fine dining and breathing. You know, it just goes effortlessly. But when we do get hit with something we can't control, like a missed paycheck or, you know,
Right.
somebody not paying out what they're supposed to or something like that, that's the kind of shit that we'd have no control over. And that's the kind of stuff that we need to be more prepared for.
And you need to be prepared for worst case scenarios. You need to know when your
Like,
top bill month.
there's a difference between like putting it out in the universe. You know, you always want to keep positive thoughts. You don't want to, you know, I always look at a negative situation, but not because I'm thriving on that negative situation, because I want to prepare for it. You know, I'm always optimistic. I always think, put in the universe the best possible situation. But in reality, it doesn't matter what you think or what you feel. You have to understand that there is a possibility of something bad happening. So we got to prepare for all aspects of life. You know, not focusing on the negative, but just be aware of it.
Like a prenup.
There you go, like a prenup.
But I completely agree with all of that. You cannot control everything, and you need to be like I was saying, knowing when your top bill cycle is, and saying, "Oh no." Like, he can see it coming, and he doesn't want to alarm me because I'll get all disarrayed and whatnot. There it is again. I need punched in the face. And it's not good when we're both stressed out. We actually kind of act as a teeter-totter for each other.
Also a yin and yang.
A yin and yang, yeah. Well, I mean, we bring multiple emotions, facets. He's down, I'm pumped up. I'm down, he's pumped up. We have balanced each other very well. And that came from years of trudging in the dark, let me tell you. Years
10
and years. And I guess we're gonna get started on that story time. So,
Story time.
depression and anxiety. We'll start with anxiety. I would say he would have more anxiety than I would, but he doesn't express it like externally.
I'm not a very emotional person.
Yeah, it's more internal anxiety, like stress poops, you know, stuff of that nature. And we're going to try to keep this comical and more upbeat because nobody likes to talk about this kind of stuff because it is going to get really heavy.
Well, I mean, you gotta think, like, our mindsets are so different. When I look at myself and how I used to think and perceive things, you know, 10 years ago, I want to just kick the shit out of myself. Like, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Why do you let a woman or a girl or something so little dictate the rest of your life? Like, I've almost made mistakes that literally could have cost me my life because of a woman, you know?
Came real close.
And it's just one of those things, man. Why let that kind of stuff rule your entire life.
Now,
when there's so much more out there to live for.
On that flip side, in talking relationships, if somebody's putting in the work, somebody's championing with you, they're partnering with you, they're a positive reinforcement on you, absolutely allow somebody to have control in your life. I've learned that myself the hard way. And I don't let anybody, that's why my circle is this big. I don't hang out with people. It's if I hang out with you, I think the world of you. And it's not a lot of people. And that's not because I think that people are bad. It's, a lot of that's self-control issues. I don't want to get into a realm of partying again and stuff like that. So I avoid certain aspects.
Just don't put yourself in a bad position.
Right. I have too many responsibilities now, and a lot of people actually don't even understand that either. They get kind of butthurt with you if you're not on their spectrum all the time, and you can't be. This is 100% full time. When you're sitting playing a video game, you're thinking about business stuff. When you're doing anything at a family get together, you're thinking about business stuff.
There's never I just
you're
always
on
remember
24/7.
For winter for us, it's really bad. So the holiday season specifically, we get
oh my God,
you get
I hate
Thanksgiving and Christmas.
I hate it.
Both I am just, my mind is not in it because I'm thinking, man, what are we gonna do? We got a freeze coming up, we got a lot of snow coming up, we have this, our machines are down, we have maintenance we gotta do. There's, it kind of sucks because it takes away, from family time and stuff like that. But it's also one of those things. If I'm not thinking about it and thinking of what we need to do to prevent, the downfall, everything's gone.
Yeah, you're not going to be ready for when it does come. And I mean, that's the thing.
And that's why I just internalize it myself and just kind of keep it all, inside here. And then me and him will talk about it later.
And that's the anxiety part. That's, and I mean, if you knew us, you would know when he's revving. And because I vocalize. That's me. I'm very external. You're going to know when I'm pissed. You're going to know when I'm freaking out. And he's like a wise wizard. He knows to use me at certain points. He'll unleash the war dogs at just certain points or say, okay, it's time. You need to go. You need to do your work. You need to get some magic rolling or something. And, that's just mapping all this out. So there are positives to the anxiety and depression. We look at them as stepping stones. Because it's not necessarily, our mindsets aren't necessarily geared towards anxiety or depression anymore. Whereas they 100% we were just anxious and depressed. We were not happy with ourselves. Now we are very happy with ourselves. It's just the forces, we're so fine-tuned and amped up all the time that when something cracks in the forest or something and startles us or something terrible happens, it's catastrophic to us. It just echoes and it is not a good time. And I'm a drinker, just to be completely candid with everyone. That's how I deal with my stuff. I start watching YouTube videos. I don't go out and drink. I start watching positive reinforcement videos, so I'll get blitzed watching motivational speakers and whatnot. And or anything faith-based that I can get behind and try to basically restructure my mindset and figure out why I am depressed that day or whatnot. And that came from years of skills of dealing with this stuff. And to take you back, like he had started on, his kryptonite was females. I would even say my kryptonite was semi-females. But my big blow didn't come until my 30s. Whereas his big blow came when he was around, what,
20-ish?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was so long ago.
And this goes into the depression and, like, suicidal stuff. When you're high strung, like, this is do or die for us. And when we say that, that's like 100%. Like,
when I texted him the other day when we were talking about it, and we have this big job coming up, and it's a clusterfuck. It's terrible. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. It could bankrupt us. Like
almost 2 miles worth of work.
It's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of elements within that. Yes, we could make a lot of money, but there's also elements controlling that money that if they don't hit just right on, it's going to derail us.
And he texted me, I said, we got to do this. And he goes, well, we don't have a choice. And that's the thing. We've put ourselves in that position to where we don't have a choice. It's literally do, or we will literally die. It's not funny, but that's just how it is. And that's how we've lived and done this business for, the years we've done it. You have to get it done. It has to be done.
And hopefully nobody gets, like, offended out there. When you're dealing with this stuff, you've got to learn to laugh. You've got to keep it, like, in a realm. I mean, when you start getting into those realms and you start touching those things, it's a slippery slide, and you can go real quick down it. And we had,
like, the other day when we were talking, like, I felt myself getting negative. I was like, man, I started, this happened, and I started thinking this happened. I was like, shit, I'm already on the downward slope. And I just kind of halted the brakes in my head. And I just kind of cleared my head for a minute. I did a workout, and I just kind of flipped it around, and I was like, all right, well, we still got our life, we still got our jobs, we still have nothing really detrimental's happened, we're still good, and kind of just had to have small victories in my head to kind of turn that scale the other way. And that's how I dealt with it, at least. And I started becoming a little more positive about it and putting good thoughts out there. And it's kind of
mine is in dealing with stuff of that nature is a track record, basically like a lifting log, if you will. That's, again, to our previous video, you can take little things and be like, well, I've hit this weight, I shouldn't be this destroyed by this emotion, Or, so I keep a log of my emotional states and where I progress through my life. And that's where I'm like, okay, Andrew, you're being a bitch. You gotta go harder. And, if you are dealing with any of this stuff, get help. Number one, we're not recommending by any means you take our track, because I guarantee it's not the correct one. Medication is not.
It works different,
right?
I mean,
Yeah,
it just happened to work for us.
Yes,
medication
isn't something that we do. That's not our thing. I'd rather deal with things head on, and not that it's not head on or anything. Don't twist any of my words, but it's just I want to know. I'm not depressed. I know that for a fact. It's life happening that's causing a reaction within me that I don't know how to deal with. So it's very important that you know what depression is and life happening is. And so it's just before being depressed and being, suicidal or whatnot. There's a huge difference. So if you need help, we are here also. If you don't want to outreach to anybody, know that we will talk to you no matter what.
You've had firsthand experience.
I have had people come to me.
We both have, yeah.
And,
we actually both have more recently too.
And so we will give you all the time of the day. And we're not doctors, we're not anything special, but if we can get you to a doctor, get you to that phase to where you can self-improve or take those steps to start walking into a more lighted path.
Well, I mean, like, you gotta think about it. This is, me and him have talked about this stuff for years, you know, and even when we talked about doing a podcast, I think from day one, I was like, man, shit, like, who's gonna listen? I mean, we've got, what, like 40 listeners, you know, that have listened to some episodes, but like, when I was telling him, I was like, if we could just change one person's life, even one, I mean, that's still more than we would have done. And that's kind of a small victory to us, because if we can, because we're just average people trying to make it in this odd world right now.
It's very odd.
You know, we've come from different backgrounds, different successes and failures, and now we're where we are, where we feel we're in a good, you know, a decent spot in life.
It's not always going to be perfect, but it's a decent spot.
But we want to show that it's possible to get to where we are, or even further, you know, just by giving any kind of advice or opinions or listening, you know, anything to help anybody out is what we want to do.
And I'm sorry, I'm just kind of looking over here at the live.
We're trying to Facebook Live at the same time, so this is different for me.
It's a little different kind of deal here. Be sure to watch our videos. You get to see our weird mannerisms and all that. But it's and this is advice coming from people who have 100% dealt with this stuff. I know he has definitely dealt with this once in his life. As strong as he is, because you can look at us and you kind of like, okay, he's the smarter one, more advanced one, whatnot. There it is again. I can't even stop saying
thumbs. I'm advanced.
Yeah. But there was a time that how deep do you want to dive in?
We can go into it. It's not a...
I mean, it's not something that we like talking about. This isn't a fun thing for us, but it's facts. It's the truth. If you're going to take this journey, you need to be prepared for all the... You've got to look at yourself, evaluate yourself, and be ready to change yourself if you want to walk a successful path, basically. So all the demons that you got cooked inside, you got to find a way to get them out. And this is why we're talking about this stuff. We both have had our fair share of demons. And he kind of touched on it with the female aspect. And one, I think, got him a little too much. And we were kind of on a hiatus at that time for about a year. Not really talking too much or whatnot. That's a whole other just not important thing.
We kind of had a little bit of it growing apart. You did your thing, I did mine.
Right.
Just kind of, you know, I was a very weird kind of individual when I was younger. You know, if I had to have where the women were the center of my life, and that was just, you know, I don't know what kind of social cues or stigmas, like I said, were put that in my brain to put the women, you know, just straight up in front of me and then worship them. You know, that's kind of what I did. And then I would cancel, you know, his relationships. None of my family would hear from me, see from me. It was up their butt 24/7. And definitely not a healthy way to live life, you know. Especially at that age when you're still trying to figure out what you want in life. I was like 20 or so, or 22, something like that. But like, how was I supposed to know what I wanted in life? All I knew is I didn't care because I just wanted a woman, or that girl specifically, and my job suffered from it, my friendships, families, you know, all kinds of different things took a hit because I focused so hard on that one aspect. And he's kind of noticed that about my life before, is that I get super entrenched into one specific category and I never branch out, and I was always really bad at multitasking, I guess, life goals.
Well, I think it's a control aspect with you. You've always been into controlling life to its extreme levels, so you don't want too many things happening inside your head at once, because then it gets harder to manage or whatnot. Not that you can't manage. This guy manages universes. But in talking about that, it's super important that you start learning to put the power inside of you. You have the confidence, the structure to say, yeah, this is nice, but I'm not hindering my life because of it. I'm not putting my life on the back burner because of it. And don't get me wrong, I didn't learn that until I was 30 and everything crumbled. But we'll get to my little bag of tricks here in a second.
Bag of tricks.
It's just super important that you structure yourself and you know what is a positive influence and what's a negative influence on your life, and you cut out the bullshit. Like,
yeah, that's something that, like, that's another thing with our circles being so damn tiny. Like, even when we were, you know, we hung out all the time before, there would be times where we'd be having parties, or he would have parties, like every freaking weekend. And how many times did I come? Maybe 3 out of, you know, the 2 or 3 years you were out there. And it's because I put myself in a different category of responsibilities, and I had to focus on my own stuff. And I just, you know, that kind of environment wasn't for me. And I kind of carry that onto now. Like, I don't have very many friends because it's just, you know, if I'm friends with them, I'm gonna waste my life playing video games, doing nothing. Or if I'm friends with them, I've never done drugs, but, you know, I could be a loser and just not have any drive in life. And that's just why my circle is, you know, so tiny.
You are who you hang around. I mean, that's a fact. Because they're going to be taking your energy. They're going to be taking your thought process. They're going to be taking what you have to offer inside of you, and they're going to be tainting it with what they have to offer, what they think, their ideas. That's why a lot of successful people only hang out with successful people. You want to surround yourself in a positive circle, so you're always thinking positive, you're always moving in a positive light. And going back, there was a time that you hit the wall. Your wall was at when you were 30 because you're more responsible. But your big wall was what had happened. All I remember was I got a call at 4 a.m.
So when I was dating a woman, I put all my focus into this individual, and she had a child, and I put all my focus into that child as well. And it was a very one-sided relationship, whereas my output was here and her output was there. You know, I had gone through a lot of mental war battles with her, you know, her texting other guys, you know.
She was evil.
I don't want to not throw people under the bus.
Evil. I will. I give 0 fucks.
I had caught some things, you know, through her phone. I did the whole stalking thing. Oh, I did. I went cyber stalking. There was a lot of information that hit me all at once, and I was just super underappreciated, and I just said, screw it. I just don't want to be on this earth anymore. So, I don't know. Andrew got a call. I hadn't talked to him in forever. I think I was catching up with him at like 3 a.m.
No, I was blitzed.
I don't even know. I don't remember half of this night.
I was completely intoxicated. This was
a while ago.
Way long time ago.
10 years-ish.
Yes. And I get a call at 4 a.m. and he's basically saying his goodbyes and whatnot. And I'm not panicking. You know, I don't know why I didn't panic, or, you know, basically I kept him talking and allowed him to talk and say what he wanted to say. And I was like, it'll be all right, man. Because I knew him. If I tripped an alarm, or if I alarmed him in any way, shape, or form, he would have left. And I just knew him to that degree to just kind of just play it drunk and be like, oh, it's fine, man, it's fine, basically. And I called the 911 at 4 in the morning. And that was an entirely big epilogue. There was a lot of, basically it was a lot of pills, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
I remember basically waking up in an ambulance somewhere, and I don't even remember half.
You had to have your stomach pumped, right?
Yeah, all kinds of fun stuff.
So, this is some serious stuff. We've dealt with it. If people are outreaching, it doesn't matter if it's 4 in the morning and you're blitzed out of your mind, you got to be ready to act, because if I had not have acted, I don't think he'd be sitting here with me. Mm-hmm. And that's something that is scary. That was probably an awakening moment even for me, because I'm like, wow, like even if I had been asleep, fate happens also. Fate is a big wheel in this, and it happens because I was going to bed at 4 in the morning. I wasn't asleep. It happened almost perfectly. And it's just something that you gotta be ready for, and you just need to be in the best the moral of the story is try to be in the best mental state you possibly can be in, because life happens, things happen, people get down. You never know when you're gonna need to basically have them lean on you, and you push through. And that's kind of, now we started a teeter-totter, and we just get through it. Mm-hmm. We push through it. We beast mode now. And it's, he'll pep talk me, or he'll call me a little biatch and whatnot. And
whatnot.
Yeah, I know. I apologize, peeps. I haven't, it's been, I don't even know how long it's been since I've been in speech class. Impromptu speech. I need to work on it. But my big downfall came when I was 30. I don't know how long we've been going. I put a lot of work into an individual, and I was not the man I needed to be. And I pretty well drove her away, and I didn't see it coming. And that's what fucked me up, was I didn't see the other dude creeping in the window, and I didn't think that somebody could be that bad. Even though in that same token I was being bad as well. I'm no saint. So, in that taking 12 garbage bags to my parents at 30 years old, moving in with them, that was detrimental. That put him on high alert for 3 months.
This whole
3 months.
This whole fate thing, it kind of, if this would have happened to him 6 months earlier, I don't know. I couldn't have helped him. I was not in a position where I could have helped him, because I wasn't even there. Because I had just moved back down to Illinois about that time. But it happened during a time where I just happened to be divorced, single, just kind of doing my own thing, trying to work.
Ready
and
pick my mopey ass up off the ground.
He basically kind of just fell into my lap. And I knew, I was like, man, I got to put everything else kind of over here, because I know the path that he can get down to. I've been on that path, and I knew, I was like, man, I gotta intercept this like now.
the worst, and that is why I'm so motivated, is because I survived that time.
Yeah, that
and
was,
I never want to go back to that.
I mean, it was taxing on me to have to really. I'm not a guy that's very emotional, not a supportive kind of a person. I just don't do that stuff very well. But I just knew, I was like, I gotta step this up. We went to the bars a lot. We hung out a lot more. We just had all the talks in the world. I helped him out as much as I could.
I was probably drunk for 3 months straight, just to be completely honest. And that's with me going to the gym. I worked out heavy as hell. And basically, it took every tool in my little utility belt to get through that. And I don't even know how I got, looking back at that was awful. So, and I didn't have, he was my outlook, or my outreach, I should say. I lost pretty well a lot of the friend base that I had from quitting the prison. They're a pretty tight-knit group, so once I was out, I was out.
And they're all doing each other anyway, so you get kicked out of that circle jerk.
And so it's important to have people that you can rely on, have a close circle that will pick you up and whatnot, and just know that it gets better. You can push through it. We're this whole podcast is positive.
I told him, during that time, I was like, man, like, it's easy to say and it's hard to, live it. But even when I told him the other day too, and then I was like, if all we have to do is make it a year from now, we're gonna look back and laugh. And every time I've said this, a year later, we've gone back and laughed at it, because time will go. The world's not going to stop because of us having mopey days. We'll be fine. Just wait it out. Just keep moving forward. Even if he's a fucking turtle moving, crawling like this, and I'm over here running, he's still moving forward. That's what matters. He's not stopped. He'll get there eventually. Just like, things will pass. Everything will pass. You just got to keep going.
That is facts. You have to see our truths to understand what we're doing and why we're doing this. It's not sunshine and rainbows. You're going to see us. This is us mentally distraught. Like, this is, and we're smiling and whatnot. We're not always smiling, don't get me wrong.
I never smile.
But it's like alt might. The strongest people are the ones that are still smiling, and it's push through. The invitation is out there for anyone that needs somebody to talk to, no matter who you are, what you've done in life, no matter what. You can reach out to us.
Or in a different span, if it's something that you have and you want to say and you want to get it out there, you can come on with us.
So, bye-bye, guys. Until next time.